This is a brief tutorial of the game Castle Combo as played on Board Game Arena. Castle Combo is a card-driven tableau building game where you are building a grid of cards that is 3 by 3. So the game lasts 9 turns, and once you play all 9 of those cards, everybody has their 3 by 3 grid. You score at the end of the game, and whoever has the most points wins. Each card has its own cost, some markings that are shields, different color shields that will take effect in various ways, an immediate effect, and then an end of game effect, scoring basically, an end of game scoring condition here. And in BGA, as you hover over each card, it will tell you what those conditions are, though BGA doesn't really spell out all of those meanings. They just kind of repeat a lot of what the card has. So you have this button here that does show you all of the various symbols and what they might mean in on the various cards. But we'll go over a bunch of that as we explain the game. So a turn goes as follows. The first thing on your turn is you can choose whether to move I think messenger is what his name is. You can move him from the bottom row to the top row, or the top row to the bottom row, by spending a key. You start out with 2 keys, or whatever row that he's on, and you don't like any of these cards, you can clear out those cards and get 3 new ones, also for a key. You cannot do that multiple times. You can't move him and then clear the row, or clear the row multiple times. So one of those things you can do as before you actually buy the card, but you don't have to. Typically, you're just going to go straight to buying a card. So you'll get an opportunity to buy one of the cards in the row where the messenger is. So in this case, pink will be able to buy one of these 3 cards. Again, you start out with 15 coins, and the cost of the cards is at that top left. Typically, the ones down here are a little less expensive than the ones up here, but it can vary. Some cards don't cost anything, and some cards can cost 7 or 8 coins even. So that will vary. Like I said, there's shields at the top right. Some have 1, some have 2. Those will take various effects based on the card's immediate abilities and end of game scoring. So for example, this one here, if the immediate effect is to get 1 coin per green shield. Now whenever these effects happen, it always includes the card that you're playing. So if you chose this one first, you would get 2 coins because this one has 2 green shields. But if you had other cards that had green shields on them in your tableau already, then you would get a coin for every one of those when you play the card. That's when the immediate effect happens, is when you play the card. It doesn't happen at any other point. You will put that card in your tableau and take the immediate effect, and you're creating the 3 by 3 grid. You obviously don't have to decide where the grid lies, so you place this card and it could basically end up anywhere by the end. But as you build out the grid, you will kind of define the dimensions of the 3 by 3. Once you put the card and do its immediate ability, then you will refill the row, and you will check the banner here to see if it has one of these symbols, these arrow symbols. So you can see the gray ones will have a brown arrow symbol, and the brown ones will have a gray arrow symbol that points up. Basically, that means if you play this card, the messenger moves. So if the messenger can move by somebody spending a key, but it also will move on its own eventually based on people playing these cards that have the arrows on them. And then it goes to the next player, and then they play a card, the immediate effect takes place, and then refill and maybe move the messenger, and so on and so forth until everybody plays 9 cards. Then you score each card individually, and the scoring at the end of the game depends on what your grid looks like. So for example, this one here scores you 1 point per brown banner card. So for every card of this brown type, from the village versus from the castle that you have in your grid, you get a point for. This one here gives you 3 points for every red shield in the row that this card is in. So you look in the column, and any red shield, including itself, that you find in there will give you 3 points. Whereas this one gives you 3 points for every shield in the column. This one here gives you 4 points for every pair of purple and orange shields within your grid. So each of them have a very specific scoring condition that will give you points by the end of the game. Sometimes you'll see this symbol here that's not equal. Basically, it's saying like in the row for each type of shield, each color of shield you find in that row, you get 4 points. There are a couple of odd ones here. The one I want to start out talking about here is the purse. The purse is basically a place that can hold money, and when money is placed on the card to be held, it is no longer accessible to use, but it is points at the end of the game. So this is saying you get 2 points for every coin that is in this purse, and you can have a max of 5 coins in this purse. So when I play this, the immediate effect is to place 2 coins on every card that has a purse, so including this one, so it would get 2. But then the trick is with the purses is at the end of the game, any leftover money that you have can be put in the purses to get you more points. And so if you are able to have an excess of money going into the end of the game and have purses to put it in, that can really rack up your points at the end. But those coins, besides tie-breaking, will not get you anything after at the end of the game. So having a purse to place them in, it can be helpful. There are a couple others, so let's go through a couple turns here to see some of the other types of scoring conditions and immediate actions. Like here we get a choice. You could say either take 1 coin per blue shield of a neighbor, or you can take 2 keys, so you get an option there, and you get 2 points per double shield card. So this is a double shield card, this is a double shield card at the end of the game. There are some cards that give you discounts. So whenever you see something like this, if I were to play this, and I believe I do take that one, now anytime I buy either a gray or a castle or a village card, the gray banner or the brown banner, I get -1 on the cost. And those stack. If I found another one that had that similar, or maybe just had a gray discount, I think I got another gray discount on top of that, then the castle cards would cost 2 less. And so this is if you get these early, they can be definitely beneficial. And then the scoring here is 2 for every orange on any of the positions next to it at the end of the game. Let's see. There are some cards that are based on position. So like this card here, when you play it, you get 1 coin per full card in your grid. So the later you play this in your game, the better. But you also get 5 points if you're able to place it in the rightmost column by the end of the game. Remember, your grid isn't defined until you start to go a bit, right? This could go in any direction you want. But if I place this over here, then it would be impossible for it to be in the right column. So you kind of want to plan that out as well. And you continue to go forward. You can see that this player took the purse. It put 2 coins in the purse, and so you can see the 2 coins that are in there. Those 2 coins did not come from them. Those came from the supply. But then at the end, they're going to be able to fill that purse, if it isn't full already, with coins they may have left over. Finally, the one thing that you can do if you either don't have enough money or keys to buy a card, or to find a card that you can afford, you can take any of these cards and flip it over, and then you get 6 coins and 2 keys, just straight up. It's not a great turn because then it doesn't give you any immediate effects. It doesn't give you any end of score bonuses. But if you're in a bind and that's your only choice, then maybe that's the best choice. Or if you have, it's the last game and you have some empty room in purses, and 6 coins in purses would be way more than you could get for any individual card, and that might be a strategic boon for you. So there are ways that can be helpful, but typically you're trying to make these cards combo together to get the most points at the end of the game. I'm going to skip ahead for just a little bit, and we'll see kind of what a fuller board looks like, and then what the end of the game looks like. All right, as you can see, this is the final round. We all have, the other two players have their 9 cards full, and I have one more spot for mine. Like I said, before you take a card, you can either spend a key to move the messenger or spend a key to renew whatever cards that you have. I think I ended up going and moving it down here because one of my bonuses here is 3 points per pair of gray and brown cards. And so I had 5 brown cards. I wanted to get another, or 5 gray cards. I wanted to get another brown card to pair with it. But for me, the big tactic in this game was I had a couple of these purses that only had a couple of coins in there, but I've got 13 coins. And so as long as I don't spend too much of those, I can fill up those purses and get a bunch of points at the end of the game for those. That is the game, is looking for those little combos that get you the most points. Once the game is ended, then you will basically go through each individual card and see how many points does that score. And BGA will do a lot for you. Notice it just filled my purses with as much as it could automatically, and now it's going through each individual card and calculating how many points it is. You also get points for keys that you have left over, but not coins. Those can be a tiebreaker if needed, but the keys do give you points at the end, so you don't necessarily want to spend them unless you have a good reason to do so. The points are calculated at the end of the game, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Hope this was helpful.